What's going on, guys? This is episode 5 of the Standing 8 Count podcast. Getting close to the end of the year. We ended the podcast not short, but it was going pretty long. We had a lot of content last time, but we want to get out our top. We got a lot of awards to do this year since we're getting towards the end of the year. True, go ahead and plug your YouTube and start with you.
Yeah, it's True Boxing, TRU Boxing on YouTube, and then it's True_Boxing on Instagram.
Okay, Vaughn.
Von Blues Boxing on YouTube, so it's VONBLU Boxing.
Okay, and my bad, Bob. But what we want to do on this one is these guys, like I said, these guys got a lot of knowledge and been watching boxing all year. Me watching it sometimes during the year. We thought it'd be fitting to do an awards, and these awards, again, they can move around in different people's realm, but these guys thought about these awards a lot, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. We're gonna have some dialogue on each person's thoughts. So starting off the first segment, we're gonna do prospect of the year. And prospect of the year, well, Vaughn, tell me what goes in the criteria of being the prospect of the year.
Well, I think what goes on the criteria of being a prospect of the year is just like, I guess it's what you do over the year, or like what the media or what people think potentially you can do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's what goes into the prospect of the year. Like, usually that's what it is. It's like the potential of a fighter or a young guy who's just been, tearing it up, So usually that'd be like prospect of the year. Like, like Felix Verdejo, he was a prospect of the year in ESPN. I think it was 2013. So like he was, that type of thing. And fighters just being recognized.
Is a prospect? Are they already professionally fighting, or they're just doing well in the amateur side?
Professional. They're already professional.
Got you. So what is your pick? You got a couple picks for prospect. What is your pick on this?
Prospect of the year. So I had a few that I was thinking of, because this one was a little harder, because it's like some of the guys that we consider prospects are really title contenders. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like some of them are title contenders. So let me find my list. Who would come into some of the guys I thought that was like prospect of the year. I could think of one off the back right now. I had Edgar Berlanga in there. Yeah, I think he's one of the prospects of the year. I think he's in there. He's a young fighter. I don't think he's title contending yet, but he definitely was on my prospect of the year. I had Edwin Rodriguez, another top ranked fighter from Dominican Republic. Talented young fighter, man. He's been tearing it up. I also had what's that called? I also put David Moriel, the 168 kid from Puerto Rico. He's only had 3 fights, but he's moving up pretty quick. And who was another guy that I put on my prospect of the year? I didn't put Virgil Ortiz, because Virgil Ortiz isn't like title contention. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't put Virgil on there, or Boots Ennis, because they are getting towards title shots.
Quick question on the prospect of the year. Does age matter in the prospect of the year? Is there guys in their later career that you would consider a prospect of the year, or it has to be? I would assume it'd be a younger guy stepping in, and you know what I mean. Well,
I usually go with the prospect of the year. I usually go with a certain youthfulness. I know there's guys who start late professionally in their 30s, like Joyce and stuff like that. So I could understand that, but I usually go for younger guys, like anywhere from like 18 to like mid 26 or something like that.
Okay. So True, I know you watch a lot of boxing just across the board. True, what would you look for if you were to give a prospect? What are some key things you would look for to let you know that this boxer is going to be pretty good?
Prospect is to me, there's in boxing, there's about a 3-step process, and I think obviously there's going forwards. There's obviously a title fights. Once you get into title contention and fighting for titles, that's when you kind of hit the big time. Then there's a contender. When you become a contender and you're close, and then prior to that is prospect. If the fighters, I totally agree with Berlanga. I think is totally a prospect right now, because he really hasn't taken that step up to like a B level competition yet. He's still kind of C, D level competition.
Okay.
And working his way up, and he's smashing on them. So he's definitely like the criteria for prospect of the year.
Okay.
Like he's perfect. In my opinion, that's a perfect choice right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vaughn, when it comes to prospects, I'm not sure if you know what your picks, but when it comes to prospects, would you say that is there any prospects that just failed to live up to the that you could think off the top of your head that just failed to live up to the hype in recent times?
In recent times, that is a good question.
Because boxing, one thing I'll say about boxing is when you call the guy when you pick the guy and say this is the guy, I say 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, he ends up being the guy. You know what I mean? In other sports, sometimes they flop, but boxing, it seems like people pretty much got the eye for the next guy. So yeah, like I said, is there any guys that you could think of that just didn't live up to it?
In the past, like, let me see, 10, 15 years.
And I'm gonna name one that
I got one.
I got one too, but I'm not sure.
I got one right now.
Go ahead. Tell me. We'll start with Vaughn. Go ahead.
I would say one dude I can just think off the back of the head that was the guy that was touted highly, Rashid Warren.
Okay.
Rashid. Yeah.
That's somebody I could think of, and also Iman Ali. He was a guy who was highly touted, but it didn't. You know what I'm saying? It didn't work out. Go ahead. Right.
Yeah. Well, one guy out of Ireland this year, David Allen Joyce, I think his name was. He was kind of getting highly touted. I think he had lost the fight, but he either got redemption or he bounced back. Mm-hmm. And he ran into Ionut Baluta and got wasted this year.
Wow,
at home too. I think he got knocked out in like the 3rd round.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you could be highly touted, but once you get hit, man, you never know. So.
And the guy I thought of, and I could be wrong, like I said, this is just me hearing it secondhand, was Cesar Chavez's son. I don't know if he was considered highly or thought that he would be good, just maybe because his dad. But didn't his son end up not doing well fighting wise?
You talking about Junior or the other one?
I think Junior.
Well, Junior ended up winning some
Junior
titles.
was a world champion.
What's the one they said? No. Okay. Is that the one they said didn't have any heart towards the tail end of his?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like maybe Omar Chavez, but I mean I don't know how highly touted he was really. He kind of just carried his dad's name.
Okay, got you. Okay. Well, that's some good prospects to look out for, man. Like I said, it's a boxing's deep, man. Boxing deep, and to be able to know some of these names, man, it takes some knowledge, man. So that's it on the prospect of the year, and that's Vaughn's choice. Very knowledgeable in that section. The next topic we're going to do is rematch of the year, and we're going to let you take over on that, True. And first, tell me what you look for, or first tell me what your pick is and why you feel like this is the rematch of the year.
Well, you want me to give my criteria or
well, I'll let you pick because I don't know if the criteria will work first on this one, but you can go ahead and present it the way you want to present it.
I think it will. The criteria for me, is most rematch of the year is kind of the build up, the fight itself, the follow through. Like if it had a good ending, if it, if the fight itself was decent one way or the other, and then the build up for the fight, kind of collectively goes into, and if people were interested in it. And this year, I mean, I usually do top 5s. And last year we had, I remember doing my top 5 last year. We had a pretty good amount of rematches last year, but this year, not so much. I mean, the best one by far was Fury and Wilder, the rematch for the heavyweight title back in February. Just mentioning, like, if you want to throw a number 2 out there, the Franco and Maloney rematch, but that's not even close to Fury and Joshua. I mean Fury and Wilder. I mean that fight probably would have won even if there was 5 other candidates, just because it was such a big rematch. But that's my pick. I thought it was a hugely hyped fight. A lot of people were looking forward to it. It really was to determine the number 1 heavyweight in the world. Fury put it on Wilder, and it was a surprising ending. I don't think a lot of people thought Fury was going to whip Wilder's ass like that. A lot of people, myself included, picked Wilder to win. So yeah, it was just it followed through. It followed through because it was a surprise ending, and it was a good, strong performance out of Fury, and it was a highly hyped fight. I really was looking forward to that one, so that's why it won rematch.
Well, let me ask you this, though, because your criteria was what it was the hype, the actual fight, and then the ending, correct? So if the ending would have been different, they still hit 2 of those marks. They hit the hype, the actual fight. If Wilder would have won that, you still think by far it would have been the rematch of the year?
Yeah, because honestly, I don't think I think it was if Wilder were to win the rematch, it would have had to been by knockout because the first time he really got outboxed, and I think a lot of people were saying if it goes 12 again, then Fury's going to get the rightful decision this time. But Wilder was being predicted to knock him out, and I thought he was going to knock him out. And yeah, I mean, either way, as long as it was a definitive ending, it's rematch of the year.
Right.
No doubt,
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Vaughn, what do you think about that? What would be your criteria for a rematch of the year?
My criteria rematch of the year is like True said, the hype. It has to have some hype behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I also think star power.
Yes,
a little bit about that. It has a little bit with it, what we do with me. And I also think the outcome of the rematch is important too. So, that's some of my criteria on rematches and boxing.
Okay. So criteria or the outcome again, I have to touch on that again. If it would have been a close fight again, it probably would have been a really good third. You think they would have revisited the third time again, or
yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're still talking about doing the third fight, so yeah.
Jeez, man.
Especially if it was tight in the second fight, it really would have been hotter than chicken grease for the third fight.
Oh yeah,
no
for
doubt,
sure.
no doubt. All right, so that's your rematches of the year, right? True.
Yeah, that's my pick for sure, man. So
okay.
They really kind of won by default.
It's a COVID year. So we got most anticipated of the year. Now, with the most anticipated, does that kind of fall back on the rematch of the year where it's anticipated fights coming up, but it might not be a rematch? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't matter on most anticipated.
I didn't get my.
Yeah, the way I broke it down is how much you yourself, but also how much the public is looking forward to that fight, and that matchup right there.
Okay.
That's how I break down the top, my top 5 most anticipated fights of the year. So,
okay. Yeah. And these fights already have went down this year, correct?
Yeah, they all went down. It was going into the fight. What were the ones we were looking forward to the most? And the ending don't matter. The fight itself and the ending don't matter. It's what we thought about the fight going in, like how hyped we were.
Got you. Okay, so what format you guys want to do this?
Ray, hold on, Ray. I got one for you.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
True that was a good one and had a good outcome and was exciting. Was Carlos Cuadras versus Juan Francisco Estrada. That was a nice one.
Okay, and this was anticipated. So how you guys want to do this on this format? You guys want to go eat yourself? Do your how many do we have? First of all,
well, I got my top 5, and then if Vaughn wants, if the same thing we did with the
okay. So if you have the same ones,
controversial. If it made Vaughn's top 5, he can say it when he does his. And
okay.
If it didn't, he can comment it right then and there.
So True, you start off, True, then.
Okay, cool. Let me pull it up real quick. One sec here.
And this is hype built up for the fight that actually happened in 2020. Okay, so the viewers know. Okay.
Okay, so kicking it off 5-1. Number 5 for me was Javonte Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. Actually, Ray, we watched this one at your house.
Yes.
Just a lot of hype going into that fight, man. It was just, you had Davis undefeated with all the potential in the world, but dedication, focus was really in question, and he was coming back down from 135 to 130 to face Santa Cruz, a 4-weight world champion that just never stops coming forward and fighting, So a lot of people were really looking forward to this fight, and it was a rare thing. It was for 2 titles, 2 different weight division titles, but they were fighting at one weight class. So it's kind of weird how that happened. And excuse me, but it was just a really highly anticipated fight right there, man. It ended up being on pay-per-view on Halloween night, and a lot of people were looking forward to that.
Good fight too. Good fight.
It ended up being a good fight. But Vaughn, did that make your list?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, we'll get to that on yours then. Number 4 for me was Canelo and Callum Smith. Canelo was he's the pound for pound king, so whenever he fights, he's the biggest name in boxing right now. Whenever he fights, people want to see him fight no matter what. And Callum Smith, the fact that he was so big, I think that did sell, even though it was kind of we didn't have a lot of time to prepare for it. It was only about a 5-week notice of a fight, but a lot of people were looking forward to it, and I think it ended up having a pretty big turnout, and a lot of people ended up watching. So that was my number 4. Vaughn, what do you think? Did that one make it?
Which one did you say? My bad.
Canelo Canelo and Callum Smith, man.
Nah, that didn't make my list.
Okay, go ahead, man. You comment on it then about the hype for it. So
only reason why it didn't make my list, they didn't have enough time to promote the fight.
I was going to say the same thing.
Right on.
Yeah, that's it. Because it was kind of quick, because we didn't expect it, but definitely was an anticipated fight. The numbers show it all.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3 for me, and this was close, but it was Lomanchenko versus Lopez in October. This fight was pretty much for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world, and the top two guys. You had number 1 versus number 2 at lightweight. It was. A lot of people were looking forward to this, and this was really, in my opinion, this was probably the biggest fight that kind of brought us back, because actually ESPN did us all a favor and gave us this fight for free on regular ESPN. It was supposed to be a pay-per-view fight, and I think a lot of people were still, from COVID, were still kind of iffy on ordering pay-per-view and stuff like that, and so they put the fight out there on free ESPN, and it was a hugely hyped fight. I told you guys before. Yeah, it ended up being a good fight, but like I told you guys before, that was my that ended up being on my YouTube channel. I got over 1,000 views for that.
Nice. Yes, I remember that. That was a very good fight. You actually put me onto that fight, True. You told me about it.
Yeah.
That one, I like that one. I lived up to it.
Yeah. What about you, Vaughn? That make it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. All right. So now number 2, we got Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, man. That was a highly hyped fight, man. Errol Spence, the best division in boxing, first off. Errol Spence trying to prove his legitimacy as a pound for pound top guy, and he was coming back from a bad car accident. And a lot of people didn't know how he was going to look, if he was 100% back, where his mind frame was. And he was taking on Danny Garcia, who's just always a solid ass good fighter. And it was 2 top 10 welterweights, but in reality, welterweight is such a stacked division that Danny Garcia, you could argue him in any other division is top 3. So just a highly anticipated fight. It ended up being on pay-per-view. And I think it was another fight that delivered at the end of the day in terms of, performances and stuff. So, yeah, that definitely made my list at number 2 right there. What about you, Vaughn?
Yes, sir. That is on my list.
Okay. And then number 1, drum roll, please. Ended up being Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury too, man. I thought, like I said, I'm in love with the heavyweights, man. The first fight had all the controversy in the world, and it actually, had just so much drama in the first fight. Fury was outboxing him, but then he got put down in the 9th. And then it looked like Fury, as long as he made it through the 12th round, he was going to win the fight. And then he got laid out. It looked like he got knocked out, and the fool gets up at 9.5. It was just crazy,
Right.
And then I think if Fury had another 30 seconds in the first fight, he probably puts Wilder down at the end of the round, because he had him gassed out and tired. So it was just drama filled, man. And then the score was a draw, which was terrible, but it built for the rematch. It built for the rematch, man. So, and the rematch was highly hyped. Both guys are flashy. They talk a lot of shit. It was just, I couldn't wait for the rematch. I was just like, wow, and actually, giving Deontay Wilder his credit, in 2019, he sold me on the fact that he was the best heavyweight in the world with his performances against Brazil and Luis Ortiz in their rematch. So I was like, I was like, man, Deontay's hit his stride, and he's ready to come out smoking in the rematch. So I couldn't wait for the rematch. I thought it was going to be great.
True. Don't feel bad. Most people have Wilder KOing them.
Yeah. So, but that to me was the most anticipated fight of the year for sure. Was that fight right there?
Okay, that's fair. Well, before we jump to you, Vaughn, just touch on what Mike said about Canelo fighting. What's the name? Was that your number 4? True.
Yeah, that was number 4.
So I'm looking at the numbers, and I don't know how accurate it is. It said 18 million views for that fight. So the highest pay-per-view is Mayweather and McGregor 5.7. I think DAZN is on its own lane because they do the pay prescription
streaming service. Yeah.
But still, 18 million views is a lot. So that actually validates a hype. That validates it being hyped up, even in 5 weeks. You know what I mean? It still shows you the star power that Canelo has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and what it also shows you is how far people can go with this with the subscription streaming service like that.
Right.
It really can. You can get your bang for the buck, as the saying goes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not really.
Let's do a little math. Let's do a math real quick. So, for normal pay-per-view, what is it hitting for? $90, $75, $50? What is that?
75
nowadays.
If it's a high level one, 75.
So 75, and I'm just doing the McGregor one. $75 times 6 million.
McGregor was I think it was $100.
Was it 100? Oh gosh, 100 times.
Oh, McGregor fought Mayweather.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. The numbers is times $100, 600 million. 18 million times $20 is hold on, y'all. 18 million times $20 equals 360 million. So, I mean, it's still a big check, though, and this guy and Canelo fought a guy that isn't really, like you said, known on our side of the world.
Well, it didn't do 18 million pay-per-view guys. It did 18,
Yeah, well, it did 18 million views, so that's all prescription views, right?
Yeah,
and it's $20 a month. That's why I did that. So that's why I was saying it was pretty.
Well, it's $20 a month if you pay the $20 a month. If you pay the yearly fee like I do, then
true.
Yeah, it's a little less. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But he's still great. A lot of money. The point is, it's a lot of money.
Right. And I wonder if we'll see them going that way. I doubt it. I think the Zone has their own lane, but we'll see. But anyway,
the Zone has it.
We could talk about.
Well, I think ESPN's doing ESPN Plus, and they're still selling stuff for ESPN Plus. They're still doing regular pay-per-view subscription, for the pay-per-views, but I think that's because they're trying to get where the Zone is.
Okay.
I think that's what it is, because ESPN Plus, it's $5.99 and you can watch a lot of different content on there, man. I watch all the 30 for 30s on there, man. It's badass. But yeah, I mean, and DAZN has a lot of content too. So that's the cool thing about it. Is you're not just buying the fight.
DAZN got DAZN outside of the box, and it ain't.
But if ESPN's trying to get in that lane,
it's not. But they're trying. That's the point.
If ESPN's trying to get in that lane, and there's guys that make millions of dollars trying to figure out where money's at. There's got to be a lot of revenue in that streaming service lane when it comes to boxing, or there's could be untapped money. So they're going over there for a reason. You know what I mean? So
we'll see.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead, Vaughn. So you got your top fives. I know Mike had a few of them. His picks on yours.
So my top five.
Go ahead.
Most anticipated.
Start with 5 if you don't mind.
Yeah, number 5. Leo Santa Cruz versus Javonte Tate Davis. I think it was a palpable enough people that was interested in the fight. Now you had some people that was, some detractors from the fight, but at the same time, I think general interest, how many people they was able to get to go to that fight during COVID. It was a good fight. It was entertaining the whole fight. I mean, Leo Santa Cruz and Tank Davis came out and they let it go and they put on an entertaining fight, and I appreciated that. I think it was a good fight. And then number 4, I got 2 fights now. I know this is supposed to be 5, but it was a hard tie with this one.
Okay.
So I got Dillian White versus Alexander Povetkin. Now, that fight was reason why I thought it was more of an anticipated fight, because people like myself knew, and I think True knew, that the dangers of Alexander Povetkin, knowing that he is older, but Povetkin, old Sasha, is a fox. He always sets up his opponents. Like most of his knockouts, if you watch him or you wait, it's all set up. It's never just like out of nowhere. He just throws a punch. It's always set up. So it was interesting if Dillian White could get through it. But White, he almost did. Dillian White looked good up until he got caught. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I had Earl Spence. And I had Earl Spence and Danny Garcia on there, because Earl Spence was coming back from the car accident. People wanted to see how he was going to respond. And then people were wondering, like, why is he taking this type of fight coming back from a significant injury in an accident? Why is he taking a fight like a guy like Danny Garcia? And like True said, Earl came back and he didn't look like nothing ever happened. You know what I'm saying?
He looked better than before.
Yeah, he looked better than before. Like physically, like I knew Earl Spence was in shape because the WBC releases like their 90-day weigh-ins or 60-day weigh-ins or something like that. Like it's like a while before they put the weigh-ins. And Earl Spence was at 162 pounds, and this was like 2-3 months out before the fight. I was like,
Now, why is that? Why is that significant for the average guy that doesn't know that?
Well, I think what it is that I think WBC likes to keep track on the fighter's weight just to see, like, okay, is this guy really going to make weight? Like, David Benavidez was pretty high.
Okay.
I seen he was high on the list, like on his weight. I was like, ooh, David, he 190, bro.
Wow, okay. I didn't know they did that. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, the WBC does that. Check it out.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that fight was anticipated, and people wanted to see how Earl Spence and Danny Garcia, how Earl Spence was going to respond. And then for my number 3 fight, I had Jermell Charlo and Jason Rosario. Now, Rosario's not the most biggest name, but I think he was red hot after beating Julian Williams. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a fight that I think people thought that, Julian Williams was going to beat Jason Rosario. I even did. I was like, Julian Williams will beat Jason Rosario. I'm like, you got to just watch out a little bit. He'll get him. And Jason Rosario, I think, shocked the boxing world with that one. And it was like, and people, it was some people that really thought Jason Rosario was going to get Jermell. They thought he had the game plan, the style, the physicality, the certain tools to beat a guy like Jermell Charlo. But I think Jermell proved himself. I think that was a fight that he was already a champion, but I think that he really proved himself and solidified himself as being one of the better boxers in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think he solidified that stuff. That was a big moment for him, winning 3 belts. There's not too many. We don't have only 2 fighters in boxing, maybe 3 fighters that have 3 belts.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So, and he was Ring Magazine. So I think that was 3 for me. Then number 2, I got Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko. So that fight was big because of the past of, Teofimo and his father going after Vasily all those years saying, hey, he ain't this, he ain't that, we gonna beat him when we fight him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think it was just in, Lomachenko being who he was, because at the time, Lomachenko was arguably the number 1 pound for pound boxer in the world. And then for Teofimo to only have 16 fights, and to accomplish that, and the viewership it got like 2.9 million viewers or something. It was hot on ESPN. So I put that up on there because I thought that was a very anticipated fight because of all the back drama, all just everything that came with it. And then number 1, I'm with True Boxing. I had Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, just because the heavyweights, how the heavyweights draw. Those two, the way they know how to market a fight with each other, they both are really good dancing partners when it comes to marketing with each other in a fight. And just the first fight, how people thought Deontay Wilder lost and stuff like that. And then just the build up, them going off fighting 2 fights. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the money behind it, the success it had. It did to 850,000 traditional pay-per-view buys, but it did to 300 to 325,000 digital downloads. A lot of people don't account at that. That's what Bob Arum was talking about.
Right.
Digital downloads in boxing, like on your computer, on your phone, and tablet. So it did really good numbers. And then 30 million people illegally streamed the fight. So
wow.
that should tell you how big that fight was. If you know what I'm saying, imagine if people couldn't do that.
Right.
It should tell you the numbers. And it had the highest live gate for any heavyweight fight in American history. So
wow. Well, go ahead, Vaughn. Sorry, go ahead and finish up, and I'll say something.
So that's why I thought it was number 1. Go ahead.
Well, you had made a comment real quick. Well, actually, go ahead, True. Comment on what he said, and we'll touch on something. Any of his fights you want to comment on?
It just that fight just brought, in my opinion, the heavyweights have been coming back over the last couple of years, but I think the hype for the rematch, I think that was such a big fight. Because of that it really brought the heavyweights back to where they were before.
Right.
I think we were in the process, like the ball was rolling, and then boom, once that rematch was set and good to go and all the hype behind it, it was just like you were chewing that anticipation, couldn't wait. And again, that's the feeling I always had when Lewis and Holyfield were fighting, even when Lewis and Mike Tyson were fighting, even though I knew Lewis was going to put it on Mike,
right.
It was still like just the hype for it. It was just like, oh man, I can't wait to see this. So yeah, that was that kind of action right there. And I was really looking forward to, so yeah. Pretty good. So
Vaughn had made a comment, and it makes a lot of sense. That's why I like talking to you guys, because you guys know your stuff, and what Vaughn has said, what I'm interpreting as, sometimes it's just bigger than, it's deeper than the hype that the media brings to it. it's like you said, the fighter was hot coming into fighting this guy. Like you gotta, that's a deep way to look at boxing, and a lot of people don't understand that. Some people, let's be honest, some people don't hear about a fight until the month or two build up from the media. You know what I mean? But to know that a fighter's coming on hot and he's going to fight this guy before, and you're ahead of the curve before the media gets a hold of this. That's what I like about you guys. You guys understand that there's hype before the media. The media is the money making hype, but the knowledge of boxing and the hunger of boxing comes before that. So those anticipated fights, man. You guys got to pay, your viewers out there got to pay attention to the little things they say about it, because that's what you got to look for in these other fights. But I got a question for you guys before we got the top 10s coming up. But I got a question for you guys.
Well, Ray,
go ahead, True. Go ahead.
Can I comment on that real quick? You made a great point, and that's why I defend Floyd Mayweather on his opponent selection, because I cannot stand when people say Mayweather ducked people, because I'm like, Mayweather fought every guy
that was relevant.
Who was hot at the time too? Like that's what impressed me. Like Victor Ortiz got his biggest win over Andre Berto. Mayweather fought him next.
Yeah, Ortiz was top 5 too. Welterweight at that time.
Robert Guerrero smashed on Andre Berto, got his best win. Mayweather fought him next.
Right.
Mosley smashed on Antonio Margarito. Mayweather fought him next. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you made a great point.
And Maidana beat Porter, and then he fought him next. I mean, Broner, and then he fought him next.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, like guys hot like that, and that's when you kind of want to fight him, because it really does give you that credential right there. Like, damn, I didn't just I'm not just a number 1 heavyweight. I beat this dude when he was at his highest.
Right.
And you're right. A lot of people don't look at that. They just look at what you said. They see Mayweather's fighting this dude. Oh, okay. Who's this guy? It's kind of like that to the casual fan, but it really cements legacies. Well, and that's the best thing.
And there's layers, and what I'm starting to catch on to, there's layers of hype. You know what I mean? Like I said, the final layer, the top layer is the media. If the media doesn't pick it up as the hype, doesn't necessarily mean that this fight isn't anticipated fight. It's when you you know what I mean? And that's what, like I said, listen, you guys, when you guys gave your points, it's the build up to it, not just the media saying, hey, this is a must watch. You know what I mean? People need to understand boxing.
That one, Vaughn, the one he had the white and Povetkin. Like on a world level, that wasn't as big. Like I couldn't wait for that fight. I know Vaughn couldn't wait for that fight. As fans like we are, but because White's not a major name, and Povetkin never really has gotten the respect he deserved. On a media level, that wasn't a highly hyped fight, so it was kind of like
for the hardcore.
And that's what I'm saying. For me, Vaughn's right. When it came to me and Vaughn, like guys like us, that probably was a top 5 anticipated matchup for me. Right. Like in terms of me, but when I was doing my list, it was kind of, I was trying to base it off of everybody collectively. But I agree. Like when he was talking about that fight, I remember that day. I remember what I did that day. I remember sitting down going, oh, fuck, I can't wait for this fight. I was pumped, man, and it was heavyweights too. So, and the Charlo and Rosario, I agree. That was unifying belts and stuff. I wasn't as much looking forward to that as everybody else. Actually, I was looking forward to Charlo and Derevyanchenko on the same card, the other Charlo twin more. So I was looking forward to that fight more. But, and it was because I pretty much knew that Charlo was going to smash on Rosario. So it wasn't as anticipated for me, but but it was a big anticipated fight, because technically it was the top 2 guys fighting, technically for 3 of the belts. So that was a big fight. So,
I'm telling you viewers out there, man, listen to these dudes, man. They know what they talking about, man. But before we jump into the next segment, I got a question for you guys. I didn't get to get my question off last time. It's a quick one. I need your top 2 fighters. We're gonna start with you, True. Top 2 step over fighters in the last couple years. And what I mean by that, I mean guys that you got to get through to be considered to be in the talks of being on the top to fight for a belt. And we touched on step over guys I think a couple episodes ago. Stepping stone guys. There you go. I'm sorry, stepping stone guys. So I need your top 2 step over guys. I would say 3, but I don't know if there's 3 out there. But top 2 step over guys. I don't know if we could use this year, but we'll say the last couple of years to give you range for where you're saying that they're solid fighters. They're gonna give you a fight, even if they lost. They doing their job to say, okay, this guy's legit. True. Go ahead. What's your top 2?
Oh man, that's on the spot right there. Jesus, that's a good question. You know who I would one guy that sticks out right now to me that I don't think can really make a dent in the top 5 guys, but he did at welterweight is Josecito Lopez, man.
Okay.
I think he's I think it's almost an insult to him after the way he performed since the Thurman fight to call him a stepping stone guy, but in reality, you throw Thurman at his best and any of the other guys in the top 5, they probably smash him. But he to me, if you smash on him, you're proving that you belong in that realm of to be talked about, to go towards a title shot.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one. You got a second one, or you just want to stay with that one?
Let me stay with that one and think about it.
Okay, Vaughn.
That's a really good question right there. So yeah,
Vaughn, you got enough time? Did you have enough time to think of one?
Yeah, I can think of one. So in the 154 division, junior middleweight, I would say Nathan Gallimore.
Okay, and what makes him?
Because Nathan Gallimore is a good test for any 154 coming up. I don't like to call guys, you know what I'm saying, stepping stones.
I don't want to disrespect nobody. I'm sorry, y'all.
But no, I'm just saying, that's just me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But Nathan Gallimore,
I'll do it for you, bro. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah.
I know, true. Will. I know he will. So Nathan Gallimore, I would say Nathan Gallimore, because he's always been that guy that kind of tests the 154. It's like Lubin. He just did it with Fedora. Who else? He beat Jason Rosario. You know what I'm saying? So he has been like kind of that dude that I think to prove yourself at the 154 pound division, you got to get through Gallimore.
Okay, and that's a crazy place to round to be in, where, like you said, it's the losses or the wins don't show it, but again, like you said, like you both said, you beat this guy, then okay, you're in that realm. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get through here easy.
Yeah, you know, actually, I do got that one that you said from the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Ishay Smith, man, was that guy.
Well, wait.
At 154, at 154, he was a former champ for a minute there, and he actually was the guy to pass the test. He was that guy. If you go look at his resume, he fought almost every dude from the PBC on their way to fighting for world titles and stuff. Wow. He was an older fighter. And actually, Erickson Lubin, to his credit, part of the reason he's gotten so much hype since his knockout loss to Charlo was he ended Ishay Smith's career. He smashed on him, knocked him out in 3 rounds when nobody else had knocked him out before. Wow. So that was an impressive win, but that was just last year, I think, actually. So he was a good one. He was a really good one for that kind of award. Yeah, right.
Wow.
there. So,
okay. Vaughn, any comments on that fighter, Vaughn, or?
Ishay, Ishay was like in between. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a guy that could be on the cusp of a world title shot, but then he would have these fights against these guys that were like, high level prospects or high level title contenders, and he would come up short sometimes.
Wow.
So, yeah. I would say he was in between both.
Okay.
Being at a title shot. Didn't he win a title?
Yeah, he did. He beat I'm pretty sure he beat K9, bro. Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. You got a second one, Vaughn, or you gonna stick with your one?
I was thinking about a heavyweight, but I'm like, is he really the guy that really like puts you out there to see if you're at that level?
Who's that?
I wouldn't want to call this man a stepping stone because he fought good competition. David Price.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on, that dude was garbage. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No. I'll tell you this right now. He is a very good choice.
Or
for
David
that
Allen.
Allen. I'll tell you why. Because with Price, if you couldn't knock Price out with his glass jaw, then you didn't belong in the top 10 at heavyweight.
Ooh.
So if you laid him out like most top level fighters did, then you could then you could argue he was or you could say, all right, maybe this guy's ready for the top 10. So yeah, I think that was a great choice actually, Vaughn. So yeah.
Well, so I'm surprised you guys didn't mention Garcia that fought Spence. Why is he not up there?
He's not a stepping stone.
No, okay.
Multi-weight champion.
Okay.
Yeah, he won titles in 2 weight classes.
Okay.
He was a former number 1 At 140, I mean, yeah,
challenged the best 147.
Okay. For some reason,
really tough fights.
Danny's legit, bro. Straight up legit.
Got you. Okay. Again, no disrespect to the fighters out there, you know what I mean? But I don't know, so that's why I was making sure I asked you guys. Okay, so we can go on to the next segment. I like you guys' answers. That's real good knowledge. But now we're gonna do what? Top 10s boxers 200 weight class. True.
Yeah.
Go to start off.
Yeah, so basically, just real quick on this. Most of the time, if you haven't fought in the last calendar year, or you don't have your next fight scheduled, even if you haven't fought, then I drop you out of the top 10. But because of COVID and so many guys not fighting, I extended that to a year and a half. So basically, you got from July 1st to 19 until now. The end of 2020. If you haven't fought since before that, then I dropped you out of the top 10.
Okay.
And if you don't have your next fight scheduled.
Well, let me touch on that real quick. So schedule meaning, so if I have a fight scheduled for January, I still wouldn't be in that top 10?
No, you would be in the top 10.
Okay, got you.
At least I know you're coming back. And you're a legit guy. You know?
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So dropping out from last year is Andrew Tabiti. He's the only guy that dropped out. He was previously my number 8 cruiserweight American. Really was on a roll until he ran into Junior Dorticos in the World Boxing Super Series semifinals, and he wasn't doing bad in that fight. Just Dortico has a heavyweight punch, man, and he just laid him out in the 10th round. He laid him out. So that one, he's a Mayweather guy. Those guys notoriously don't fight a lot, and he just hasn't come back since that fight. And that was in June of last year. So he's the only guy that dropped out of the top 10. He's 31 though. He still has time. Okay. He's still ranked up in the WBC rating, so he's not bad. But going 10-1, number 10 is South African contender Kevin Lerena. He drops one spot for number 9. He's 28. He's on the rise, and he's actually ranked pretty high in the WBA, so he's close. But actually, Lerena, I'm glad I'm starting off with him because there's actually a new weight class now, bro. It's called Bridger weight. And the WBC, the green belt, is the ones that are promoting this weight. It's basically from 200 to 224 pounds. So the heavyweights are now, at least for the WBC, going to be 225 or higher.
Okay.
And so Kevin Lerena is actually fighting for to become one of the top contenders. In
Oscar Reed was talking about he wanted to do it too.
Yeah. So I like the idea, Bridger weight. I was actually going to bring this up on a news segment. I like the idea for some of these cruiserweights, because cruiserweight's a division, Ray, that doesn't get a lot of love because it's like the junior heavyweights. But man, these guys throw a lot of punches. They're big dudes, fighting. And it's always an entertaining division, man. I remember O'Neal Bell and Jean-Marc Mormec when they fought for the undisputed title. One of the best fights I've ever seen, man. Great action, and even the guys from overseas, man. They're badasses. They are, but it doesn't get the love because most of those guys move up to heavyweight and they're just too small for it. So Bridgerweight is right in between, and that'll be good. But I think it's going to hurt the cruiserweight division at the end of the day. But but it is what it is. So anyways, but Kevin Lerena is going to be moving up to there. Number 9 is contender and veteran Mateusz Masternak. He came back this year after not fighting for over a year. He's 33. He went 2-0. Didn't fight anybody big, but he fought Junior Dorticos in the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals, and he lost the decision in a fight that a lot of people thought he was going to get laid out in. So he actually fought hard in that fight. He didn't do too bad. He's a veteran. He's been around, so I got him at the back. Number 8 is undefeated Arsen Goulamirian. He's the WBA super champion. He's undefeated, 26-0, 18 knockouts. He's 33, so he kind of had a late start, but he's pretty solid. I want to see what he does next. I want to see him step up the competition this year and see if he's legit or not. Number 7 is Christophe Klawocky. Now I gave him an exception, even though he hasn't fought since June of last year. I gave him an exception because COVID derailed him. He's the guy I brought up in our news segment a couple weeks ago. Like, he's had the worst luck since the World Boxing Super Series semifinal, and COVID derailed him. but he's in line to fight for the title. He's the WBO's #1 contender. He's a former 2-time champion. We're going to see how if he can still do it at 34 years old, because he's fighting a very tall man in Lawrence Okoli, who we just talked about in the last couple of weeks. So he's my number 7. Number 6 is a Polish fighter named Mikal Sia Slock. He fought for a title in January against Ilunga Makabu. Went over to Makabu's country and fought his ass off and lost a close decision. That was his only loss. So he's still banging around, rated up there in the WBC rankings. I want to see how he bounces back this year. Number 5 is Russian Alexei Papin. This dude is badass. I like this guy. He fought Makabu, who's a champion now. He fought him to a very close decision loss in 2019. He bounced back in 2020. He took on a tough guy. Ruslan Fafer was getting outboxed, and then he laid the dude out in the 6th round. And he's actually got a title shot due against Makabu this year. So we're going to see in a rematch. So we're going to see how good this guy really is, once he gets him in the ring. So we'll see what's up there. He's 33 though, so he needs to make his splash now. But another late starter right there. He's like, his record, man. Listen to the record: 12-1, 11 knockouts. This dude's got power.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Pretty solid. Number 4 is Noelle Gabor, a contender. This guy, he got robbed in the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals. That was in 2018. He's only fought twice since. He came back and stayed active this year in December, got a win. This guy hasn't really done much since that quarterfinal, but considering the guy that he should have beat, and he should have beat cleanly, went on to win the whole tournament, this guy's ranked high because of that, because he got robbed in that fight in 2018. He really did. And it was against the #1 fighter, Maris Bradis, in the division at the time and in the tournament. So I like Gabor, but we got to see if anybody gives him an opportunity. He's kind of got an awkward style, so kind of makes him unattractive, and he doesn't really have a big name. So we're going to see how he does in 2021. Number 3 is WBC champion Ilunga Makabu. This guy actually fought twice. He's one of the rare guys to fight twice. He won the title for his first time finally in January with a close decision over Sia Slock. Then he took on a stepping stone guy, Duradola, and knocked him out in the 7th round just last week. So he's a pretty solid heavyweight. He's got a couple mandatories due in 2021, and that rematch with Alexei Papin, I think, is going to be a badass fight right there for the title. So we're going to see. Number 2 is Junior Dorticos. He's a former 2-time champ. He fought in the World Boxing Super Series finals against Maris Bradis. He was the favorite going in, and he lost the title. He got cleanly outboxed against Bradis, but this guy's got a heavyweight punch. I wouldn't be surprised if he moved into the Bridgerweight division, because he hits so hard. And, no shame in losing that fight. I mean, the dude is, I believe he's 24-2 with 22 knockouts. This guy's got lights out power, man.
Wow.
He's very good. So he'll bounce back from that. He's 34, but he'll bounce back. And then number 1 is Maris Bradis, the World Boxing Super Series champion. He won a championship for his 3rd time when he beat Dorticos in the finals, and he started off the year number 1. He ended up winning that when he was favored to lose, and he really surprised a lot of people. Cleanly outboxed Dorticos, won it, and he's talked about moving up to heavyweight too. He wants a rematch with Usyk. That's the only loss of his career, was that fight with Usyk. So this dude is, it was a nice win. It was his career best win in 2020 when he beat Dorticos in the tournament final. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I know a lot of these names aren't well known, but this division is entertaining as fuck, man. And people should start paying attention a little more to cruiserweight. It was considering COVID shut everything down. It wasn't as bad a year in the cruiserweight division as I thought it was going to be. So,
okay. Yeah. So Vaughn, you got any? I'm not sure if you have your own 10, or do you have any guys that didn't make that list, or pretty solidified?
Pretty solidified. I'm just gonna run with my top 10 real quick.
Okay.
So number 10, I got Tabasio Machunu at the number 10 cruiserweight. Number 9, I got Alexei Papin. Number 8, I got Kevin Lorena. Number 7, I got Lawrence Okoli. Number 6, I got Arsen Glogomarian. Number 5, I got Andrew Tabiti. Number 4, I got Ilunga Makambu. Number 3, I got Christophe Klawocky. And number 2, I got Untitled Doricos. And number 1, I got Marius Briedis.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
quick question on the cruiserweight, Mike. You had said a guy's 34, but the way you said 34, is 34 a cruiserweight different from a 34 welterweight? Is it looked at different? Is it just harder punches? What do you say about that?
I know. I mean, 34, I think, is looked at as like once you get to 35 plus, people start looking at you different,
Okay.
And it doesn't matter how much damage you took. Once you hit that age, I think people start looking at you as an old man who can be beat. And
is that across the board, or is that just this weight division?
I think so. I mean, look at the lack of respect Triple G gets, man, because he's 38. I mean, seriously, I think so. I think that's across the board. I mean, I remember when even Mayweather was beating everybody's ass, and he was 36, 37, 38, and people were still going, oh, he's 38 now, though.
Right.
I was like, so he's still smacking everybody around. So, like, I didn't think that mattered at all, but that's because I know the fighter's a little better,
Right.
Like I said, it's almost like the running back in the NFL. Once they hit 29, this dude's old, and because once he hits 30, he's old,
Well, Vaughn, so what do you think? A cruiserweight at 34 and a welterweight at 34. Are we talking about the same thing, or do you think it's a little different?
I think it's a little different at cruiserweight because some people at 34, some cruiserweights at that age are still vibrant. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
At that top level. Because, I mean, if you look at, let's go out with the man who is the top dog that me and what's the name both had. Marius Briedis. Let's see how old Briedis is.
He's 35. He's 35.
Yeah. So wait, before you get into that, Vaughn, our career started later in cruiserweight, or our guys usually start younger?
Cruiserweight, it depends. Like, usually cruiserweight, they come in a little later. Because he had Untitled Doricos is 34. Yeah, they usually cruiserweights come in a little later because they come from certain weight classes, or they just start late.
Okay.
Yeah, or because cruiserweight, there's not a it's such a downtrodden division because they don't get as much love that it takes a while for them to make their splash. So, like, I was just looking over my top 10 right now, Ray, and I only got one guy who's in his 20s.
Wow.
In the top 10. Everybody else is 31 or older. Yeah.
So is there a cruiserweight amateur division, or like are guys? My question is with cruiserweight, do you see guys starting at a different weight and ending up in cruiserweight, or do you see guys starting their career in cruiserweight? What do you usually see?
Well, actually, there is a lot of guys that start in cruiserweight. Yeah. Well, I think it's more that they start at cruiserweight because there's such a big gap between 175 and 200.
Oh, okay.
That's a big weight jump. So actually, that's probably the division where you probably see most guys start cruiserweight and then move to heavyweight eventually.
Okay.
If they're good.
Okay.
But
that's true.
you don't see a lot of dudes go light heavy to cruiserweight because it's such a big jump.
Gotcha.
Because Usyk, the former undisputed champion, started in cruiserweight. Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know that. It's good knowledge. Okay.
The greatest cruiserweight of all time, majority is Evander Holyfield. So he moved up to heavyweight.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that. I did not know that. So, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think Michael Hunter did. I think what's the name did too.
Michael Hunter did too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good knowledge.
He was bad as a junior middle. He was bad. He was not Michael. Yeah, Michael Hunter did. But then there's another one who did it. What's his name? He was bad at cruiserweight.
David Hay.
No, yeah, David Hay did it. But what's his name? He was decent at light heavyweight. He was a monster. Michael Moore. Yeah, Michael Moore was a monster.
Michael Moore. Yeah.
Wow.
Heavyweight champ. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we jumping down to what? The welterweights? So welterweight's not 135, is it?
Lightweights.
135.
Yeah.
Vaughn, you're going to start off with your top 10, and I know this is a division that you, is this one of your favorite divisions?
One of my favorite divisions in boxing, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with my 135 list. Now, me and True talked about this, about Tank Davis. And only reason why I don't got Tank Davis in here because he fought his last fight at 130 and he fought most of his career there. But what's the name was right, what True was saying. Like, his better opportunities is probably at 135. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, that's one thing True was right.
So he didn't make your list?
Absolutely right. He didn't make the list at 135 because he didn't spend most of his career, 130 fighting there.
Okay.
But True was right. His career path is probably going to be 135, and most of the boxing rankings got Tank in the top 5 in lightweight division. So, but I'm going to start with mine. At number 10, I got George Kambosos Jr. He's the IBF mandatory for Teofimo Lopez. That fight probably more than likely is going to happen because Australia is having live crowds and stuff like that. So. He's probably going to get that fight, and he just came off a win against Lee Shelby, a debatable win, but he got the win against him. He's from Australia, pretty good lightweight. At number 9, I got Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, talented young man, got the De La Hoya Gold Dust on him. I think he's in the top 10 rankings because he's about to fight a big fight coming up. So we'll see how Ryan Garcia coming up this fight against Luke Campbell, how he performs and prove that he is a top 10 lightweight, but I got him in there. I know it's debatable. At number 8, I got Masayoshi Nakatani. Masayoshi Nakatani just came off a big win against Felix Verdejo. You know what I'm saying? And a pretty good fight at lightweight. Pretty good top level type of lightweight. And he had a good fight against Teofimo Lopez. He lost that fight, but he still had he had a good out. It was a nice coming out party. It was a nice fight for the American public to get to know him and the boxing world to get to know him and be like, okay, this dude is really for real at 135. So I got him at number 8. Number 7, I got the former WBC lightweight champion at 135, and I believe he was a champion at 132, the multiple weight belt champion, Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares was supposed to fight Ryan Garcia first, and he was going to get that the title shot against Devin Haney.
Fortuna.
Fortuna was was it Fortuna he was supposed to fight first, or was it Ryan?
At the end of August, and he caught COVID. So yeah.
Was it? No, because I think Luke Campbell was supposed to fight Fortuna first, and then Linares was.
Yeah, that was in April, and then they signed on. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah. We'll talk about that after. Yeah.
And so Jorge Linares was supposed to fight. I think, like Drew said, either Luke Campbell or what's it called? Javier Fortuna. So he's a good fighter. He's been around, fought some of the best guys at 135. Well-known fighter. At number 6, I got Javier Fortuna. Javier Fortuna, to me, is a really good lightweight. I think he's one of the more underrated lightweights in the division. I think he's talented. I think he's a good fight for anybody. He's a guy that can be beaten, but he's a really, he's a tough out. And he's one of those dudes you're going to have to bring your A game for. And then at number 5, I got the former WBC champion, Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell is a well-known lightweight in this division. He defeated who was that? He lost a good fight to Vasily Lomachenko. He also didn't he fight Jorge Linares?
He lost a split decision. Yeah,
he lost a split decision to Jorge Linares, but it was a very, very close fight. You know what I'm saying? Close. Very close fight. And so, Luke is one of those guys that's always been in the top 5, always been a guy in the top 10 in the light 135 pound division for the past couple of years. Guy that always challenges for a title and stuff like that. Good fighter. At number 4, I got the former IBF champion, Richard Commey. Richard Commey just came off a loss to Teofimo Lopez. He got sparked out. I didn't think that fight was going to go that way. You know what I'm saying? And he just, it was kind of shocking Richard Commey lost a fight like that. You know what I'm saying? Richard Commey had a close fight that I thought he won against Robert Easter back in the day. He stopped Ray Beltran, which was like, that was big. That like really woke people up to him. He had a close fight against Denis Shevkov some years ago, but it was a close fight. And so I think he's one of the better 135ers in the world. So I got him at 4. At number 3, I got Devin the Dream Haney, WBC. Yeah, true. Yes, I do. Devin the Dream.
Hey, stand your ground, boss. Stand your ground, man.
I know I'm standing my ground tonight. WBC champion Devin Haney. Yes, WBC champion Devin Haney. It's debatable. I know people like to go back and forth. I just think Devin Haney, I know he ain't fought really anybody a note at 135, but he is in position to do it. With Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia fighting, and possibly Linares and Fortuna fighting, he's gonna have one of those guys will be a mandatory to his title. So that would be definitely a step up fight. I wish he'd go fight Fortuna. That would really put him in there. But I got him at number 3. He's he's a champion. I'll give it to him. At number 2, I got the man, Vasily High-Tech Lomachenko. Lomachenko's the man. I mean, he's beat Luke Campbell. He's beat Jorge Linares. I mean, he proved himself at 135 that he was the man there, at this division. He's been a champion for years. He's moved up multiple weight classes. He won a title, in 2 or 3 fights. He beat Gary Russell, who's a high level opponent, really good guy. I mean, he beat Guillermo Rigondeaux, top level bantamweight. I mean, he beat Nicholas Waters, who was the boogeyman at that time at that division. I mean, his name speaks for itself. And then at number 1, true, we already know who this is. Fimo, the Takeover Lopez, IBF, WBA, WBO champion, and if you want to say WBC champion, I'm fine with it. WBC franchise, WBC champion, whatever you want to call it. Ring Magazine champion. So Teofimo Lopez, I mean, the kid has had one hell of a ride. 16 fights in the past, year and a half. He knocked off Masahiro Nakatani and Richard Commey. 2 tough opponents. And I mean, you don't end Lomachenko in a year and a half in 16 fights. He beat Nakatani, which was for a title eliminator, so he earned that shot. Then he fought Richard Commey for the title, stopped him in 2 rounds. I don't think many people seen that coming. Then he went in there, outboxed and outthought the Matrix, High-Tech Vasily Lomachenko. When him and his father have been telling us for years, we're going to beat this man. And I was one of them that didn't think he was going to do it. But he proved his worth. He proved that he is the leader of the new school. He's on my pound for pound list. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. I like how you solidified your number 1 pick, man. The dude is legit though, man. When I watched him, he's solid, man. A little closer fight than I think a lot of people want to give credit to, but it was a good fight.
Definitely closer fight.
Good fight though. Okay, true. So you got your top 10. Let's hear it.
Okay, so first off, the guys that I me and Vaughn have talked a couple times about this. I think Vaughn gives and me it's fine because a lot of writers do this too. Yeah. It goes back and forth. It's giving credit to guys who haven't done anything yet, but we're pretty sure they're going to do something.
Yeah, me and True talked about this.
Yeah, I'm more of a stickler about it. It's like show me first, and then it's like in the NFL. They'll show me contract, show me something, I'll pay you. Kind of deal. That's how I see it. But so Ryan Garcia at the back right there, he hasn't really done anything, so he didn't make my top 10.
Yes, sir.
But Devin Haney at number 3. I mean, come on, man.
Bud, stand your ground, Bud. Stand your ground.
I'm sorry. I got to break down Devin Haney. The dude has not fought anybody at all. And he's talented as hell. And I think the guy is going to do something. And this year, he gets a chance to prove himself.
Wait, hold on. True. Is he in your top 10, True, at all? Or
No.
Okay.
Did not make it.
Okay.
And it's because he hasn't fought anybody, not even close to anybody good. No. Oh, well, what's disrespectful is the fact that the people call him a champion because he got handed a world title. And he is your definition.
That's
True. You were looking for definitions of stepping stones. This dude is a textbook definition of paper champion.
Listen, true. This man take your lunch money in high school or something. What did man do to you, man?
He's beating nobody,
Sula, Monty.
Yeah.
No.
He got handed a world title. He did not deserve it.
And that's what's so good about this is 2 guys that just we have a difference, you know what I mean? And Vaughn said his point. I like it.
True knows how I rate the young boys. Yeah. I got love for the young boys. He know that. He already know I got
but I will say this about both Garcia and I do think they're going to pass their test to prove they're top 10 guys. Ryan Garcia, if he knocks out Luke Campbell or beats him, he's a top 5 lightweight right out the gate.
Yeah, for sure. He jumps on my list.
Yeah. Devin Haney, he's actually in line to fight the winner of Garcia. Well, actually, they're fighting to get in line to fight him next. Now, the question is does Ryan really want that fight right out the gate, or does Devin Haney? So that's going to be interesting because that's the winner of Garcia Campbell is mandatory to Haney.
Oh,
So that's it. But if that fight don't happen, Devin Haney gets to pass his test against Javier Fortuna, so who's very solid. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So the guys that I had drop out of the top 10 from last year were Rances Barthelemy. He had moved back down to lightweight in 2019 and fought one of the worst fights I've ever seen against Robert Easter. That was both guys. Neither guy wanted to throw any punches.
Yeah, it was a bad fight.
It was one of the worst fights I've ever seen, and it was just terrible. And I'm glad they scored it a draw because neither guy deserved to win.
Oh, wow.
So, but he he technically was moving back to 140, and he just never fought in during a year, so he dropped out. And then Ivan Mendy, who I have mad respect for. He's a French fighter. He has a win over Luke Campbell years ago. Campbell came back and avenged the loss, but this dude is just your consummate grinder who I wish Devin Haney would have fought him because I wanted to see Haney fight somebody legit, and I think Mendy would have been a good, not necessarily stepping stone, but he would have been a good test for Haney because the guy can take punches, he can dish it out. He's 35, but the dude's a grinder. Last year he came back from the loss to Campbell and fought 5 times last year, bro.
Wow.
And for a guy who's ranked that high in the WBC, he's number 7, but he was ranked in the top 5. To risk your ranking by fighting that often was impressive to me. Even though they were nobodies, so most of them were nobodies that he was fighting because he's from France. So he fights a lot of local, but he dropped out. He was not my number 9. He just dropped out. Just nothing he did wrong. Just other guys I felt did more.
But he actually met the criteria to be placed. He just dropped out pretty much for the newer guys coming in.
Some of the other guys just have done more, and and again, I also base your whole resume, of course, matters, but I really think what you've done in the last 3 calendar years is a fair assessment of where you are as a fighter. So I think that works. But anyway, so number 10 for me is Masayoshi Nakatani. Nice win over Felix Verdejo, is the biggest of his career. He really legitimized himself. I'm surprised he's not ranked higher in any of the governing bodies. I'm sure he will after that win get ranked a little bit, but his highest ranking right now is 14th in the WBO. I mean, he has not gotten any love, and I hope
unless he ain't paying no money.
Yeah, exactly right. You're not paying them fees, but no, that was a nice win. He's a big guy, and I really want to see him in there against somebody like a Richard Comey. That is like a dream fight in terms of toe-to-toe that I would love to see, and it's a makeable fight in 2021. So I want to see Nakatani get into that eliminator, possibly title shot this year. Number 9 is former featherweight champ Lee Selby. He fought a close one against Kambosos. He lost a very close decision. I personally thought he won, but it was close. It could have went either way. That was in my controversial, but I don't know if Selby's really going to go anywhere. I mean, even at featherweight, he wasn't a hard puncher. He never scores knockouts. So he's 33 now. He's going to have to work really hard to get back into it. And I don't know if he ever gets there, but we'll see. We'll see how he bounces back. Number 8 is George Kambosos. He got his career best win against Selby. He's 27. He's young, but he's running into a freight train in Lopez next. He will have home field advantage in Australia, but Lopez has dynamite, and he lands punches so crisp and clean that I don't think Kambosos stands a chance. I think he's going to get his ass laid out, but you never know. He is undefeated, so he's never tasted defeat before. So we'll see what happens. Number 7 is former 130-pound champ Javier Fortuna, veteran. He's been around for a few years. He's a WBC number 2. He should get his title shot this year against Devin Haney or somebody in the second half of the year. And he gets to prove if he's still a legit lightweight. If he's really legit, because he hasn't fought anybody since Robert Easter in terms of top tier talent. So we're gonna see if he's still on that level. And I think he is, and I think he's a great test for a guy like Devin Haney if he gets that fight. So we'll see. Number 6 is former champ Richard Comey. He got laid out by Lopez in a surprising knockout loss last December. So he's 33. The dude's a grinder, though. He fights hard. He's actually coming back in February on the Joe Smith undercard. just shake off some rust. I like Comey. I want to see him get back in the mix. Like I said, him and Nakatani is kind of a dream matchup right there in terms of it's going to be just a great fight. And I just want to see him get back in the mix this year. Luke Campbell. Now, Luke Campbell, we're going to see how good Campbell still is next week when he fights Ryan Garcia. Because if he can beat the young bull Ryan Garcia, man, Campbell is right there fighting Devin Haney for a world title, you know. But honestly, I don't think he's going to win that fight. And he's been talking the last couple of years about moving up to 140 anyway. So maybe that's the next step in his career. We're going to see after that fight. We'll get more into detail when we discuss that fight on our next podcast. But I still like Luke Campbell. I think he's a great test for Ryan Garcia. And, I can't wait to see that fight. It's going to be a good one. Number 4 is former 3-division world champion Jorge Linares. He's 35, but, he fought only one time against veteran Carlos Morales, but he laid him out in 4 rounds. And Morales, usually a tough fighter. A fully focused Linares, I mean, this guy has had so much talent and so much promise, and he got stopped a few times unexpectedly in his career, but he bounced back in a major way. And against Lomanchenko a couple years ago, man, what a fight that was. What a great fight he put on against Loma. And, he has a win over Luke Campbell. Just a top tier lightweight, but he's nearing the end. And we're going to see, he was supposed to fight Ryan Garcia. Then he went on to, he was supposed to, they had the fight scheduled between him and Fortuna, and he tested positive for COVID. So that fight got canceled. So, we're going to see where he goes this year, but Linares is always going to get opportunity because he doesn't have the greatest chin, but he is a very good boxer and entertaining fighter. So I can't wait to see him back in the ring. Number 3, Jeronte Davis. He did make my list. Why? He technically has a title, a secondary title.
Yeah.
So
we did
so
talk about this one.
Yeah, I put him in there. He's undefeated, 24-0, 23 knockouts. I personally feel his next fight, maybe his next 2 fights take place at 130, but his future is at 135. We'll see how he does against the top tier talent there. But he did win a fight last year, although it was against an old man in Gamboa. But again, technically he has a world title, just like Devin Haney. And you gotta. I gave him the love in this weight class because he has a belt in that weight class. And an overall resume. It's not just about who you beat in that division. Overall resume, should get you there too. And then Lomanchenko. I mean, to me, talent wise, I still think the guy is probably maybe the most talented fighter in boxing. I think he more beat himself than Teofimo Lopez beat him that night. Lopez fought a good fight, but the reason he won most of those early rounds was Lomachenko just wasn't throwing punches. And that's to Lopez's credit. I understand that. But you saw the difference when he started throwing punches to when he wasn't. He was putting it on Lopez. And I think if he would have just opened up a little more earlier on, because the fight ended up being close, he wins that fight going away. I think if he opens up early on fighting the way he fought in rounds 8 to 11, he probably stops Lopez. But, we won't know until they fight in a rematch, because I think Lomachenko's pissed. I think he wants a rematch. I'm not sure it happens this year, but I hope it does in the second half of the year. Because I love Vasily Lomachenko. He's probably my number 2 or 3 favorite fighter in the world right now. It was a tough loss, but again, he beat himself, man. He went in there. He didn't throw punches. He hesitated too much. And we saw what happened with Callum Smith against Canelo when you hesitate and you don't throw punches, man. So, you gotta let your hands go, man. And I think he kind of spoiled us. Or he kind of left you wondering what would have happened if he would have opened up earlier on in that fight. So he kind of, that was disappointing, but a lot of credit to Teofimo Lopez because he, he's my number 1. Absolutely. He's the undisputed champion at 135. And he deserves that, because, to his credit, he did make Lomachenko hesitate, with his feints. And, and I think Loma was worried about the power. I think he was worried about the power. He didn't want to get caught with a shot because Lopez has very fast hands. And that's part of why he hesitated so much. So that's to Lopez's credit right there. He made Loma hesitate. So it's it's a combination of both right there. But that was a big win, a huge win for Lopez. I hope it's not too early, too fast for him. I hope that's not the case. He was impressive against Richard Comey, but that was kind of a surprise knockout. He caught him, and nobody saw that coming. So, stylistically, he's fast. He can box. He's got a lot of power. I think he's going to lay out Kambosos, which is going to make people fall in love with him more with another impressive knockout. I want to see him fight some of these younger, very good studs before he moves to 140, but I don't think that's going to happen. And 140, I don't know if he's going to be as dangerous at 140, but I want to see what happens because there's some good fighters at 140, man. So Lopez, though, to his credit, he got the win. I got no problem. I personally scored that fight a draw, but it was very close, and I don't have a problem with Lopez winning it. And that's my top 10 right there for the lightweight. So yeah.
Well, a quick question back on Haney, and I got to call you out on this, True. So he doesn't make your top 10, and I think it was your number 6 or number 5 fighter. He doesn't make your top 10, but for that number 6 or number 5 fighter to be solidified, he has to beat him. So he should make your top 10 by default. You think so or not?
Wait, what was the question?
I think it was your number 6 fighter. Who's your number 6 fighter? 6 or 5? It was 1 or 2. And you had said
7. Javier Fortuna.
There you go. So yeah, if he beats Haney, then he solidified a good fighter, but you won't have Haney in your top 10. So
because he hasn't fought anybody on that level yet.
So go ahead.
I don't give respect to hype until you actually prove yourself.
But go ahead.
Like another good example is Demetrius Andrade at middleweight.
Uh-huh.
He's an avoided fighter.
Uh-huh.
Definitely because of his style and stuff, but he hasn't beaten anybody. So a lot of people give him a lot of respect, but I'm like, okay, I'm not giving him as much respect as everybody else just because he's avoided.
Uh-huh.
Well, you have to beat somebody. In my opinion, you got to beat somebody to be avoided.
Okay.
To be truly avoided and truly on that level. And like I said, Haney hasn't really fought anybody. Now, if Haney beats the number 6 guy, he's legitimate in my book. And the same thing for Ryan Garcia. If he beats Luke Campbell, he's legitimate. But those guys haven't fought anybody even close to that level of fighter. That's why he doesn't make my list.
So playing devil's advocate, Haney beats the number 6. Where does Haney fall in your top 10?
Depends on how he beats him, but this is a division where one big win, especially against guys with that kind of name. I mean, looking at it,
you can move up some spots.
He could float right around the top 5 with a win over Fortuna.
Got you.
Ryan Garcia beats Luke Campbell. He's in the top 5 because Campbell the last three years in the lightweight division has been one of the best lightweights in the world. And Campbell also has the great pedigree. Campbell was a 2012 Olympic gold medalist. I mean, this dude, Luke Campbell is very, very good, So if Ryan Garcia comes out and lays him out and wins impressively, then yeah. So they're right there.
So Vaughn, what does Haney got to do to get to your top 2 fighter, to be in your top 2?
My top 2, in order to become a top 2 fighter, I mean, beat somebody like Ryan Garcia or Fortuna, and then maybe, he takes on, another top 5 fighter, and then he would be, solidified number 2 for me. Got you. But it's all about what happens with Lomachenko, though. Lomachenko stays there and he fights another top 5. Lomachenko gonna be in that spot.
I think we see that a lot in top 10s too. Is that one fighter that has to move for other people to move. You know what I mean? I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Yeah. There's always that one solidified, whether he be number 2, number 3. If he holds that spot down, there's not a lot of movement. But let's say he loses, then all of a sudden it shuffles the whole cards. Who's that fighter on you guys' top 10? True, let's start with you. Who's that fighter? If he moves, then a lot of stuff moves around.
Well, I think Lomachenko and Lopez, because they're both flirting with moving up and down in weight. Like Lomachenko is considering moving back down to 130 because that's more where he's stronger at. And Lopez is flirting with moving up to 140 because he has noted the last year or two that it's been a struggle for him to make 135. Those guys, I mean, either one of those guys moves, it's going to shake things up. And that happens, eventually guys move up and down. Right. I mean, look, a good example is Jeronte Davis on or off. For me, overall resume, he made it as a number 3, but for Vaughn, he didn't make it because he moves up and down in weight. So, and that's a big deal. Right. To go from number 3 or not at all, that's a big deal based on you just moving up and down in weight. So,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, those top two guys, they move. And not only does it just hurts the division in general if you lose Lopez or Lomachenko right there, So
what about you, Vaughn? What guy that's stuck, if he moves and it shakes up your top 10?
Well, I had to say Fimo and Lomachenko just were true, because if either or leaves, it kind of just like, especially if Fimo leaves, then all the belts are just everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All the belts are everywhere. And then if Lomachenko leaves, then you only got Fimo. And like he said, they both are flirting with going down, because Loma can get all the title fights at 130 because all the champions are with Top Rank. Basically, only one champion at 130 is in with Top Rank. So, at 130. And Teofimo can go up 140 because all the belts is up at 140 with Top Rank. So, they got options. And so that they leave, then, like True said, it's part of boxing, but that's where we'll be at with it. It'll just be all over the place at 135.
Yeah, so a lot goes into that. Didn't know that. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a move up or move down. I didn't know that you actually have to think of who's holding belts, what promotions hold those belts, and it's a lot that goes with it, man. That a lot of people, that casual guys like me, do not know, and it's so overwhelmed. I tell you this when me and him talking on the phone. I'm just so overwhelmed with all this information. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, but names are starting to ring a bell. I will start saying now the names are starting to ring a bell. Like out of you guys' top 10, I'd say I knew about 7 of those fighters. So it's starting to come around, man. So we getting somewhere.
Lightweight is lightweight right now is definitely one of the top 4 or 5 divisions of boxing.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
It's popular. Hey, question though before we finish up for Vaughn, both weight classes. First, let's go cruiserweight. What's one fight you'd like to see this year at cruiserweight? Any of the top 10 guys?
Well, at cruiserweight, the one I'm looking forward to is Klawocky versus Lawrence Okolie. Like those two are supposed to fight each other, and I think that's a fight I really want to see, because I want to see is Christophe still a top guy, and I want to see if Okolie is for real at the division. And and so for 135, I think the biggest fight I want to see at 135. There's actually 2 I would like to see. I like to see Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight. It seemed like a makeable fight, but it's all about what Oscar and Eddie think. If they think this fight is too soon to make, with both of them being so close in age and being able to move up weight. Is it a fight that you wait on? You know what I'm saying? And then second, I would have to say Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, because just the star power of both of them. The star power of both of those dudes. They've been chattering for about a year and a half. I mean, it's just an extremely marketable fight. Both guys got pretty good fan bases. It just checks all the boxes, just from a marketing and from putting butts in the seats and from a pay-per-view standpoint.
Right. Yeah. So for me at cruiserweight, it's there's 2 fights. I agree on the Klawocky Okolie one. I just don't know what that's going to prove for either guy, because Okolie hasn't done much yet. So if Klawocky were to beat him, does that prove that Klawocky is still top tier? I don't know. And Okolie, if he beats Glowacki's kind of older, hasn't fought by the time they fight, it's going to be close to 2 years since Klawocky fought. So it's kind of one of those. But for me, I really want to see the Macaboo and Papin rematch that's supposed to happen for the WBC title. Their first fight was really good, man. It was a majority decision for Macaboo, so I really want to see that one. And then, honestly, I know it probably won't happen, but I want to see Bradis and Dorticos, where it wasn't 15 months in between fights for them. Like, and to be honest, we knew the final was coming, so they were training for it, but that fight got announced officially a week and a half before it actually happened. So like I already had my September schedule when laid out, and then I heard that fight was taking place, and I'm like, what the hell? So I would love to see those 2 dudes fight, just to prove who really is the number 1 guy, because I really don't know if we found that out that night, because 15 months off in between fights, COVID, the fight gets officially made last second. It's kind of it was good, but I want to see Dorticos get another crack, even though I know that fight probably don't happen. And then 135, I mean, there's so many matchups that would be good, Davis against any of the young guys or any of the established guys to see if he belongs at 135 would be good. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. I'd love to see those two guys eventually after they pass their test fight each other. But I think the biggest one, I mean, I'm big on rematches. I want to see Lopez and Lomachenko too, man. I really want to see that. I want to see if Lopez opens up and fights the way he fought in the 12th round, if he fights that way more during the fight, and if Lomachenko opens up and fights the way he fought from rounds 8 to 11, I want to see, because I think both of them are going to have to open up a little more. I think Lomachenko is definitely going to start quicker if they were to rematch, and Lopez is going to have to answer the way he did in that 12th round against Lomachenko. And I just think that's got fireworks written all over it. Lopez completely is legit if he beats him again, and Lomachenko is this still his yard? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of that thing. So, and I'm huge on rematches, and I would love to see it, man. That's a fight I want to see most at lightweight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to see that fight. But on that one, does Teofimo Lopez, does he get in his mind? Does he need that fight? Is it kind of like thing that I'll get back to you when I'm ready? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, because it seems like it's more of a high risk, low reward if he fights Lomachenko. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that at all. I think he absolutely does need that fight, because the thing is there's not a lot of top ranked fighters that he hasn't fought already at 135. So he would have to move up to 140, where there's a couple, but they're actually solidifying themselves at 140 right now, coming up with an undisputed champ. Now that would be interesting, Lopez versus them, but those guys aren't as big a names. None of them, even after they establish themselves, they're not as big a name as Lomachenko. So the fact that it was close, and even Bob Arum said when Lopez right away started saying, "No, I'm not going to rematch Lomachenko," he started saying, "I need to really go talk to Lopez and let him know what the numbers are going to be," and that means that's going to be a big money fight, let alone prestige. If you go beat a guy like Lomachenko not once but twice, bro.
Right.
I mean, damn, what that does for you and your career, man. It's like the sky's the limit. It's like, look at Jermaine Taylor when he beat Hopkins twice.
Mm-hmm.
After that, everybody thought Taylor was going to go on to become a Hall of Famer. Now he didn't, but everybody thought, even though they were close fights, everybody was like, damn, he was able to beat him not once but twice. So this dude his star. Even when he started getting in trouble, people still tuned in to watch Taylor fight every time he came back.
Right.
And it was based off of those victories right there, you know, because Hopkins set the record, man, middleweight record for title defenses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was at the top of his game when Taylor went in there and beat him, you know. So it was like, and then he came back and beat him again. It was like, wow, you know, and, you know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, a win like that over a top tier guy of that talent, I mean, man, that would, to me, that would totally solidify Teofimo Lopez.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, Vaughn, any comments on that fight?
Which one? As far as that, I mean, Teofimo could do it, and I mean, it would draw him, like, as far as like it would help him in pay-per-view and stuff like that. It'd be his first fight, but I mean, as far as like, I mean, he is no rematch clause, so he doesn't have to do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, you know, because I mean, a fight with him and what's it called, Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, those are big ass fights too.
That's true.
From a pay-per-view standpoint and putting butts in the seats. Yeah, he could make some big money fighting him too. But the realistic fight is probably, like True said, it's probably Lomachenko if he's gonna stay at 135. But I don't know. It's just because 140, he can go get titles up there too. You know, would Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor stay around to fight a guy like him? You know, so
I just think this, Ray, like I said with Hopkins and Taylor, maybe this is better said. If Teofimo goes and beats Loma again and beats him more legit, or say he knocks him out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think no matter what Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, any of them do, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys are good, but the top dog's sitting right there.
Oh yeah, we're Loma the top dog, right? I
That's
mean,
the thing.
Tio's the top dog right now.
He is now, but you can make arguments for some of the other guys. I think he's more the top dog because he got the win and he's got all the titles. I think he beats Loma more legit in the rematch. Then there's no doubt. It's like, well, okay, nah, you guys are good, but that's the man for
Well,
sure. 150 grand, you know. So
right,
that's what I mean.
And I look at it that way, but I also look at it, and we talked about this before, how losses are so fighters are so afraid of the number behind the win, right? So, or a loss. If he beat him already, so it's like, that's why I say high risk, low reward. If he loses to Lomanchenko, then people say, oh, it was a fluke that he even got that close decision. Yeah. So that kind of hurts his career more. I mean, don't get me wrong, the fans want that, but if I was Fimo Lopez, I'd be like, nah, I beat the guy. I kind of snuck out with a win. Let me move on to solidify my name. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess because I look at it like, hey, if Loma were to come back and beat him, I don't think anybody would be surprised. So Lopez could say, all right, now I'm moving to 140, taking over there. Like, I don't know how bad it hurts him to lose to a guy on that level, that talented and that good. Of course, a loss hurts. A loss hurts no matter what. Mm-hmm. But to lose, defending against a guy of that talent, that level, that pound for pound status, it's like, okay, well, hey man, we give you props for even fighting him again. I think it would help him as much as it would hurt him. I think it would help him even more, because it's like, all right, well, hey, you wanted to prove you absolutely were better, and you lost, so now you can move on with your career, and you're still young enough to where that loss ain't gonna hurt you, because he's only 23, man.
Oh, wow,
it's
wow. Okay.
Like, yeah, I mean, he's so young. It's like, I don't think a loss to Loma in a rematch. I don't know how believable it is that he would get knocked out, because he's so much bigger than him. So, he goes in there, he loses a decision against a dude on that talent level. I mean, Lomanchenko, that dude fought, what was he, 397-1, Ray, in the amateurs.
Oh, gosh.
He won back-to-back gold medals. I mean, in 2008 and 2012. I mean, this dude is, there's no shame in losing to a guy like that, especially when you're only 23, 24. Well,
I think the thing is with that is like Lomachenko. The thing is, Teofimo right now, he red hot. And so the thing is like, with him, it's like, what's the risk of doing it, going back and fighting Lomachenko again and losing what you got rolling right now?
Right. That's how I look at it,
Would you go fight George
I just think his legacy. Yeah.
Well, his legacy is kind of solidified. He beat him.
Right.
I don't think
16
so.
fights.
I don't think so.
23 years old, 16 fights. I mean, his legacy is not fully solidified, but I mean, he is 23, 16 fights, unified champion, an undisputed Ring Magazine champion. Lomachenko, Comey, and Nakatani on this list, 3 guys in the top 10.
I kind of look at it like this. If I'm playing one-on-one basketball with, I don't want to use Michael Jordan's term, but let's just say a highly talented Charles Barkley for Mike, and we're playing, and I beat him. I beat him on a technicality. I throw it behind my back, whatever. I beat him, right? I'm not trying to play you again, knowing that you should have won that fight or won that game. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I kind of look at it. It's like, He came in with a game plan. He got early rounds. He won.
So a win's a win in your book. That's it.
Well, it's not too much of the win as a win. It's and this is only falls for boxing. I feel like it's like knowing how guys kind of try to maneuver around and not have to get that loss. He did what he was supposed to do. Now, for the hungry fans like you guys, like you, True, I understand. You want that fight because you're not convinced that he's better than Lomachenko. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, well, but see, that's the thing. I think that's the thing that I don't know if it's as a society we've been reduced to. In my opinion, it's as long as you win, that's all that matters. And I'm like, no, like how you win defines you. Look at like, again, Floyd Mayweather's the perfect example of what I'm talking about. That guy, in my opinion, and that guy could be top 1 or 2 all time, any division, anywhere. He could be, if he would have won and went after it more and like did it for the glory and not and took more risk and shit like that. Well, he didn't. He boxed the way he boxed. He boxed just enough to not lose his O and get the win. And that's all he did, man. You know, it was all about points and playing
if
defense
you
and
look
pitter
at that,
patter.
well, if you
You
look
know,
at the
so
boxers when they go up weight, they knockout ratio go down. Mayweather was being
I'm not
smart.
talking about that. He didn't even you know, he just completely stayed away from guys and played defense and pitter patter.
W gets
That's all.
Canelo, W gets Pacquiao, W gets Oscar, W gets Miguel,
And he got the wins. And he got the wins. I'm not saying he didn't, but look at how he won. That's how his legacy is judged right there. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. You're in the minority about this. All the boxing writers, all the historians, they always say that.
You could say that.
Everybody says Mayweather is not the greatest ever. Not even
I never
in
said he
top
was the
five
greatest ever fighter.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying that's what he says.
Well, that's what he says. Every boxer is entitled to an opinion.
You know, but
at the end of the day, he beat everybody in his era. That's you can't debate that.
No, I'm not denying that. I said to this day he beat De La Hoya, he beat all those guys. But how you win matters. How you win matters. It defines a legacy, in my opinion. You know, it defines a legacy.
I guess to each his own.
Yeah, it's I just see, like I said, and this is, I feel like the culture of boxing is you sneak away with a win. It's why even revisit that. You know what I mean? It's he beat the top guy. You know what I mean? And like I said, true. You admit that you still think Lomachenko's a better fighter overall, correct?
Absolutely.
So you would have Lomachenko as a favorite going into that fight, right?
Absolutely.
And I think he knows that, or Lopez knows that too. So it's kind of like I don't know. That's I see. I'm looking at
going in that
fight. You just said it though, Ray. You said it, and Vaughn said it, and I'm glad you guys said that because that kind of proves my point. You don't know. And that's exactly why the rematch should happen, because you don't know what would happen.
Right.
And that shows you that the first win was questionable.
Right.
Close, and that's why a rematch should happen.
My argument.
And when they do happen, they end up being great, bro.
That's true.
Look at rematch of the year. Rematch of the year, bro.
Well,
what was the biggest fight of the year? The most anticipated fight of the year. Both, I think. Why? Because it was a rematch, bro. There's
I agree.
There.
I agree but I'm looking for the future. I'm looking past this fight and looking at the future of Teofimo Lopez. I don't see it making sense to fight Lomachenko unless you're looking for a big check and possibly no big checks after that. I don't think it makes sense for. I'd love a rematch. I would love to see a rematch. I just don't think it makes sense for him. You know what I mean? Me personally, but I don't know.
If and if he doesn't think he can win, then you're right. I mean, I agree.
I like the way you word.
If he doesn't think he can win, you're right.
Look how you played that.
Because you said all the things of the uncertainty.
Well, I don't know if he'll win. Yeah. I mean, I believe it.
I mean, that's all uncertainty.
Well, it's not that.
Be certain about it.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's because there's guys that there's guys that beat you up, and there's guys that come with a game plan and get it. He was coached into his win, right? He came in with a game plan. And Vaughn, you're the one that said this. You get the early rounds. Remember you said that when we were talking about another fight. He did. He did what he was supposed to do. I mean, if it was a 20-round fight, Lomachenko probably would have beaten him? Yeah, but it's like, you got to do what you're supposed to do within the allotted time, and he did that within 12 rounds. So he out coached. He was out coached, if that makes sense. I guess you could say. But I don't know. It'll be a good fight. I would like the rematch, but going into Lopez's mind, I don't think it makes sense. That's me personally. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what. Well, and you know what? You're right, because he is saying everything he can to avoid a rematch.
I believe it too. I believe it too.
Yeah. So he's saying all the things of avoiding him. I already beat him. Well, yeah, but I mean, but what do you see Bob Arum saying? I've never seen Bob Arum do that.
Well, I also heard Bob Arum say, "I need some situation. Gate money, George Kambosos Jr."
Oh yeah, well that's because Lopez doesn't want to fight Loma in a rematch. But Bob Arum already said, he goes, I really need to talk to Teofimo and let him know what that fight's going to look like. Basically telling him, like, hey man, this is what you're going to make. But it's not just about money. It's about hype. It's about a rematch is going to do so much more for you than going to Australia and
if you win, though. If you win.
But he's going to Australia.
Just the hype alone, man. Just the hype alone is going to do it for you, man. I mean,
you think so?
Huge.
Yeah.
His dad, his family, they already said they're fighting Kambosos next.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for sure happening. I'm just saying he should fight Loma, but look at Wilder and Fury, bro, the rematch. I mean, nobody saw that result coming. It didn't matter if Wilder lost. It was hyped. That fight was hyped.
Right.
You know, that was huge. You know, and even though he got his ass whipped, people still want to see the rematch to see if that was a legit win out of Fury.
Right.
And he whipped Wilder's ass.
Right.
So, you know, and that wasn't even the same thing as Lopez and what's his name. And it's just because, like, hey, let's see who the better man really is. Let's see if Wilder can land that one big shot to end it all. You know,
right.
You know, so yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, it's a good conversation.
Yeah, we can go on this for hours, man.
Yeah.
But it's a good show. This is episode 5, right, guys? I keep forgetting episode 5.
Yeah, episode 5. Yeah,
we got more awards coming soon, actually. So be tuned in for those.
Yeah, a couple days.
Good conversation, fellas. Good conversation. Go ahead and plug your YouTube on your outro.
All right, Von Blues Boxing. So it's VONBLEU. I believe apostrophe S boxing, man. Y'all be good and have a good night.
Appreciate it. True, go ahead.
Yeah, True Boxing, TRU Boxing, and TRU_boxing.
Okay.
True Boxing on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate you fellas coming in. And again, remember, stay tuned. We got a lot of content coming up, guys. So stay tuned. And I appreciate y'all fellas for stopping by. Thanks.
All right, man.